Okay, we start creating the files and the folders for the project Space School. So the first thing is I've created a folder called Space School in the hot documents inside exams files, and I've created the first PHP file is index, so it's empty as you see. So that's the index file. I'm going to create as well the CSS file, so it's a new. I'm going to save as. You can see it's hot docs, and the space. I've got the index in here. I'm going to do the style in here just to get things sorted. Okay, so I'm going to start with my index file. It's an HTML file, so starting writing the HTML tags. Okay, so I've started created the tags for the HTML. I've also linked the style. It's under the headings. I'm going to do the title as well. Title for the website. I'm going to write Space School. That will be written on the website. Now I'm going to create my divisions. So this video is going to teach you how to do divide into containers your page, and I'm going to create the top-down buttons as this file. So what I'm going to create is going to create something like this. So that's the page, that's the drop-down menu. So when you click on the students, that you get all those options. So this video is to create similar to that format. So in my body, the first thing I'm going to put the header. That's the name of the page that comes up. So we're doing the home page. The same, and then I'm going to divide it into the sections. So there is big section, the main section, which is the header, the top section, and that's where I'm going to call it header, and that's where my logo goes. So that's kind of the top bar. And then inside that middle section, so that's the top. Does that show? Where is it? Here. So that's the top bit here, the header, and then those bits here, which is I'm going to call it main section. The section, and this is the main area where you're going to put all the information and stuff, and there is a navigation area. So header, it's section, and then the bottom is the footer. And that bottom is the footer. This is a slideshow. I'll do it after. So we'll do the drop down buttons first, the menu. So as I said, that's the head at the top, so it has only space. We should add the logo image later. I haven't created the logo image yet. And then the next one, I'm going to call it section. And inside the section, there is two different containers. The first container is the navigation, and the second container is the main container, which is the one that I'm going to put all the information and things in. Now outside the section, that is the footer container. Now all the work that we're going to do at the moment, we're going to do it in the the navigation container. So in the footer, I'm just going to write add copyright. So you can just see the writing at the bottom. And then in the main, I'm just going to say, I don't know, Space School. James. Just some writing related to the website. Now in the navigation, that's where I'm going to create my the drop down menu. So in the drop down menu, it's actually a division, so it's another block. So every button it's a block or a division by itself. So I'm going to call it a drop down. Now inside that drop down, it just names. So I'm going to create a button. I need to give that button an ID or a name to be identified. The reason for that is because I wanted to create, I wanted to style it in the styling sheet. So I need to give it a name. So the button ID, sorry, I'm going to do that first. Okay, so in the button, it's going to be clicked. So I'm going to do on click. So what's going to happen when you click the button, that's what you need to mention. So for the first one, remember the home button, I only wanted to go back and refer to index again. Okay, or you could do, actually you could put hash. Hash mean the same, it will refer back to the same button, to the same page where you at currently, and we are on the index page anyway. And then I'm gonna name it. I'm gonna give it a name. Class is called drop button. Now why I've used a class, I have used a class, not an ID, because a class you can reuse it and apply it to multiple buttons, and I do want all the buttons looks the same. I'm going to use home. Now there's my first button. So if that's my first button, I'm not going to show you now how it looks like because I haven't styled anything. So now the next button, so just to make sure that where are we here. So I've did this one here. I'm going to do the students one, and the students, you can see there is a drop down menu for the students. So I'm going to do the students buttons now. It's again a button, but at this time when it's clicked on click, it's going to call a function, a JavaScript function. Okay, so the JavaScript functions, I'm going to call it that's my function, that's normal. My function is a normal one. Then I'm gonna say name drop equal my drop down one, and then so all this needs to be in quotation mark, double quotation, because it's a text. And sorry, yeah. That's the text. Again, I'm gonna call it class. So I'm gonna call it class. I just copied and paste the rest of that one here. So it's class and drop down, and this time I'm gonna call it students. Okay, so I've created the button, but the button, when you click it, it needs to require to go to this particular function and sending a parameter is saying which drop down that I'm using. The reason for that, because I do have multiple options, so I have multiple drop down menus, so I have to create the multiple drop down menus in different names, otherwise it will always refer to the same name. Now the next one, I'm going to create now the drop down, that one as a division as well. So I'm going to create it, my drop down. So it needs to be exactly the same writing. So that's my drop down one, and now I'm going to create, what is that drop down one call? So that's the ID. So it's a division. I want the ID to be equal to that, because then I can style it. And and I want it to relate to class, called the drop down content. Okay, you can call it whatever, drop down, yeah, whatever you would like. Okay, that is closing that div is very important before you write anything inside. Okay, now in here, I'm gonna write my links, okay, or my what are the links or what are the drop down content. So the first drop down, obviously they're all links. When you click them, it will take you to a website. So at that moment, I'm just gonna give them all. I'm gonna make the first one, it's enrollment. So I'm gonna go to enrollment.php. I haven't created those pages yet, so I'm gonna create them soon. That's one, and this is the text that's going to show. And then I'm just gonna copy and paste this. I think I do have 3 only. Oops. Okay, just double check that I only have 3. So if I go enrollment, details, and achievements. So we go back to this. I've got enrollment. Next one is details. And that's achievement. Alright, now the next bit here is creating. Okay, I'm not going to create those sites now. So I've created now the list and everything, and it says close the division, close the drop down one menu. This one needs to be, because I've used the div in here. If I don't use the div, if I do it that way, it should be alright. Okay, I probably will use the div better. Now, because I've used the div, so I'm gonna close it here with div, not with the name of the division itself. Okay, now after you've done all of this one here, oh, that's the div. Yes, and that one is the drop down. Yes, that's correct. Now, after you've used all of the navigation, now I'm gonna write my script. Okay, now we're gonna write the script that shows the content of the drop down menu. So we said here, when you click this button, I want you to run this script. This is just a function. So any script, when you're writing any JavaScript, obviously you have to put it in a tag, which is called script tag. So the compiler understand that whatever in between those 2 tags is actually needs to be interpreted with JavaScript compiler. So it's very, very important. So I'm going to write the function. So you need to call it exactly the same as you've written it in here. So I'm just going to write my function. Spelling is extremely important in here. And then I say name drop. That's the parameter that I'm sending. If there is no parameter, then obviously there is nothing between the 2 brackets. When you open the first Java, the starting and the ending of a function, it's curly brackets. So it's different than Python from last year. So it's curly brackets. So that's the starting. So the first thing in here we will do document this one is telling me, okay, I want you to get the element by ID, that one here, name drop. This is, I want you to get, that means I want you to get all those values that you've put them in the division of name drop 1. Okay, so that's are the values in here. That's what it says. Dot class list. What it means, this one here, it means toggle, sorry, it means I want you to get from the document, you get this list here and show it. It dot show. This one that is the hidden or the hide or show. So at the moment we're showing it. Each command in Java needs to be ends with semicolon. Okay, so now what did I do in here? I've just said, okay, just show all this information, those values, but I haven't said what you're gonna do with those values. So next one, I'm going to create window dot on click. Remember we said here on click, so I want to say now when you click on those ones, you're going to call this function event. So there is an event gonna happen. Now what is that event? It's asking I'll write it and I'll come back. It's easier than I explain. Okay, so I've just written that piece of code. Is just because sometimes when I'm writing and talking at the same time I make mistakes. So here the function, as we said, when you're clicking on when the button is clicked, this function will be called. So it's gonna go straight away into this Java script. It will call this function. It's gonna get this function is all it's doing. It's basically showing all of this information from the drop down menu. So it's going to basically, that's what's going to happen when you click the function called, it show this. That's what the code is saying. And then, but then you said here, when you click, there is an event happens. Events means there could be multiple than one thing. So it's not always just showing, because what are we doing in here? If it shows, if I click it again, it disappears. If I click it, it shows. If I click it again, it disappears. So there is an event happening. So there must be a way to handle that event. So the way we've handled the event, we said when you click, you need to check if it is actually the target or the button that you're clicking. It's a drop down button. So this one here. Why I've done that? Because we are using other buttons later on. So I want to specifically say when you click, there is a drop down button in here. If you check if it's the drop down button, then do something else. If I click, for example, that button, then there are another things I want to happen. There is another event going to be handled. So yes, now it says here if it is yes, then you're going to have a variable, and that variables give you the content list. And now you're going to check for each one of these. If it is open, if it is show, you contain show. If the list, if the open drop down class list contains show, then remove. Remove it, because you've showed it, you've removed it. Okay, so you're clicking and removing at the same time. And this one here is just the loop to take you down all these, the amount, like enroll details and achievement and so on. So what's going to happen? I'm going to go into here. I'm going to click. At the moment is nothing's going to happen. So because I haven't created, I've only done the enrollment to refer back to the same page. But if I do that, then I will just, as you can see, if I clicked it, it will open. If I click on the page on one of them, look, it's hidden. So this page here should be different, the content of this page, but that one, the drop down menu will disappear. And that's what this code is doing, basically. You can do this or you don't, it's up to you, but this is the logical way of to do a drop down menu. You need the code to disappear after you click on any of the options, or sorry, the menu to disappear after you click on any other options. And then I've just closed, make sure the curly brackets are closed, so you can see when you click, that one goes into this is here, and that one there, just double checking, yep. So everything is fine. And then if I finish the JavaScript, I close it in here. You can do any script for this page all under those two tags, and you name it. So for example, I could do this here. write a comment, I say show or hide the drop down menu for navigation button. That's a comment to show what is this script is about. And then I could do another script about something else, because with a slideshow it also needs a JavaScript. Okay, so we've created the first button. The second button, if I want to create it, well, because I've got two buttons in here, I've got students and then subject. And subject, it has different list. Okay, it doesn't show here very clearly, but here you can see there is a different list for subject. It has add new subject, top subject, and results. So they are different lists than the students. So I'm going to do that bit here. All I do is basically create another button. All of this is going to be repeated. Just copy it and paste it, and then I just change it. So instead of this, I'm going to do drop down 2. I'm going to call this one as drop down menu 2, and then I'll call this achievement, and then this one maybe whatever options will be subjects. So I've got add a new subject, top subject, and results. So this one will be add new subject. This one will be top subject. And this one is results. And obviously these will be different. I just call this subject in here because my plan is to create one PHP to include all the subject stuff, but I'm changing it with if statement. I don't want to create so many PHPs, and I'll just write this one subject as well. So it depends on the option that will go. Or you can do, okay, I'll do a simpler way. Results, and this one here, top subjects. Okay, so this one, each one got a page, and that's it. So that's 2 different buttons. Each button have a link in between. We're going to go to the style sheet now. Now the style sheet, I've already written it. I'm just going to go over what I've written. It's just because it takes too much time and the video getting too long. Now the styling sheet, I'm gonna style each one of my navigations different colors. It's just to show you the difference. So this is the header. So basically this is this one here, where you're gonna write the data. So I made it the color sky blue. I've made all my divisions to be displayed as block, so they look like a block by itself. I like it that way. If you don't put it as a block, then they become connected, but the colors are different. So it's really, you go by changing whatever you want. Position relative is just because I want it to be related to what's around it. Text alignment in the center. All of these are different options. So when you write it like this, text alignment, and you just write, and gives you all the options, left, right, whatever. So I'm just going to use center. These types of CSS, whatever you want to go by, you can search it in W3 Schools, also W3 Schools, or just basically give it a try to the difference to the different options and see what difference it makes to your website. The navigation float, because in the navigation I want it right at the bottom, so I said float left. The width of the navigation is 15%. I'm using percentages in here, not px for the 15%, sorry, for the width and the height. The reason for that, because I'm going to do the responsive on the same website again. When you do responsive, means when the website make the style of the website will be changing if you view it into like a phone or an iPad. Then the width needs to be in percentage, not in pixels like that. Anyway, we'll go through that later. The main, again, float right, because I want the main over here, so that makes it looks like this. So that's the float right. The navigation, float left. That's what I meant in here, and that's what I've made in the top. And blocks means I will have spaces in between. You can see I've got a blank spaces in between. I did not put any color for the main and the navigation. That's why there is bottom padding, bottom 50 pixels. I've done this. I probably will have to change that later on into percentage as well, just because while I was doing the slideshow I was just trying to give some space in here. The footer, that's what we're talking about right at the bottom, so you can see it's gray. Also, I wanted to view it as like clear both, and the top margin 70 pixels means that that's from the top here. Now the content is this. That's the content, this area here. So I want the whole content to be 90% and the height is 100%. 90% from the whole page. This is general. I've created some general, general properties for all the divisions. That's why I've made them all in one statement. You can still do this, repeat this individually under each one. I just don't like repetitions. So padding means the spaces around that top. I think that's top, bottom, and that's side, left, right side. And the margin, that's top. Always the first one is top. A border, I want the border, it has a border, and I want it solid to be 0, means white, so it needs to be a border that's white. And border radius, that's what I want, because I want it a bit curvy. If you don't put a border radius, it will be just a rectangle. There is no curves. I always like the curves. That's why I've done this. And obviously, the more pixels you have, the deeper is your curve. Now we will come to the drop down button. Each drop down buttons, this is the color, the background color, and I want the display as a block as well, so I'm just following the same format as the rest of the page. The color white means the text color is white. Padding means around the text, 16 pixels around. Font size is 16. There's no border. Cursor pointer. So when you point, that will look that. When you put it on, that's the cursor looks like. There is other options anyway. Position relative, margin is px, and width is 100%. This one here, when you hover around, so when you hover over the button, can you see the color change? That's what this one I want. And when you focus on the button, the color change to deep sky blue. That is just to show it's a good format when the user will see there is a change which button he's clicking or pointing at. It's a good practice. Drop down menu, again, inline block means under the button itself, and then the width. So that's for that one here. So sorry, when I click, so it's under inline block. And the content, again, text color, sky blue, background color, sky blue, text, whatever. So all of these here is for the content. How do you want the content to look like? And these here about the links. Okay, so each one of the links, I wanted white, padding, direction, no decorations, and display as a block. So when you click here, can you see when I'm pointing to it, is changed as a block. I think that's it. Yep, that's it as styling.